This is an absolutely fascinating conversation and clip that I have to share with you. Really, really interesting. I love talking about theology, actually, because actually I don't think it's just some pie in the sky stuff. It actually gets to the heart of society, the way we live our lives, the way we understand the world. And so it matters. It really matters. This is a conversation from a really interesting channel called Jubilee, where they basically get someone that's a strong activist on something to be surrounded by loads of people that have opposite opinions to them, and they each kind of have a chance to have a few-minute conversation. Sam Seder, wasn't so aware of him before this conversation. He's a left-wing activist, commentator, and he sits down with someone that's clearly a religious Christian, and they're basically arguing about whether we need religion or a sense of absolute morality, a God, in order to have a moral society, morally functioning human beings. Fascinating discussion. Sam is himself Jewish. I'm Jewish, but of course I'm, religious, so to speak. Believe very much in God. Believe it's, it's the truth and essential part of our lives. And so I'm actually, more sympathetic to that side of the debate. Not necessarily, obviously there's significant differences as well between Christian and Jewish theology. But have a watch of their conversation and I'll give you my thoughts as well afterwards. Really interesting. And in some ways it looks like Sam has kind of, I think sometimes they expect to be debating amateurs, the people sat around them. Actually, they're very, very sharp. Have a watch.
Hey. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay, so I would like to touch on the religious fundamentalist aspect.
Yeah.
Are you an atheist?
I'm a Reformed Jew. I don't have a strong belief in the existence of God, but I don't think that religion in and of itself is bad.
Okay, so what's wrong with religious fundamentalists? So like when you said trans rights and women's rights or something like that?
Well, the problem I have with religious fundamentalists, and really more, I guess it's really theocrats, is that they want to impose their morality that comes from their religion on the rest of us. And I don't.
But morality, from your view, is going to be a preference, right? It's not morality; it's a preference. So morality without a foundation is going to reduce you to a preference.
Well, I have a foundation for my morality.
Which is what?
It's a humanist vision of what basically creates as little suffering as possible for as many people.
Okay, so you're like a consequentialist? Utilitarian?
I don't really bother myself with being a consequentialist or a utilitarian.
It's always going to reduce you to a preference. So if you say that killing is wrong and I say it's right, you would really have no contention with that.
Well, no, I don't base my understanding of civil society on religion. And so we have a civil society. Okay. We have laws that we have decided as a society in a democratic way. And for some people, it's okay for it to be informed by their religion. That's okay.
Okay, perfect. So if tomorrow society comes together and we say, hey, trans folks don't deserve rights, you would be okay with that?
No, I would be against it, but I mean it would be
morally right under your view.
Not morally right. No. I'm not talking about morals.
Okay,
here.
So here's where I'm getting to, right? Religious foundations provide an ethical framework for one to live their life off of.
I believe you can have an ethical framework without religion.
And if we take the leftist view to its logical tail end, to its extreme view, you have low reproductive birth rates. You have a reproductive dead end, so two men together can't reproduce unless they have to take from a healthy straight couple. Religion provides this foundation where you do prioritize the nuclear family.
So do you have a problem with gay people being married?
It's not that I have a problem. I just don't see a justification for why they ought to be gay outside of it just feels good. Can you give me another justification for it?
Well, I think maybe that's the way they were born.
Okay, what about pedophiles? Are they born that way?
They may be, yeah.
Okay, so should we let a pedophile off the hook since they were born that way?
No, I think we as a society has decided...
Should implement duties to prevent them from acting on that innate urge, correct?
Well, I think between consenting adults, it's a different thing than...
Okay, so you're okay with a 45-year-old dad with a 19-year-old daughter as well? Incest?
No.
If they consent, you're okay with that?
No, I think society has also determined that it's not beneficial.
Right, there's duties and obligations that we have, so religion provides those duties. Life isn't about freedom and exercising what you want.
I mean, well, you want to impose your religious doctrine on me, and I don't want that.
You just admitted we need duties. We have a responsibility as a society to keep us functioning, to keep us thriving. Your leftist view, the liberal view, doesn't provide anything besides it just makes me feel good. Religion does. So what's your argument?
So interesting, and there's so much to unpack here, so much that's going on in both sides of the argument. The first thing is that one cannot deny this, is that if you don't believe there is an absolute standard of morality that transcends human beings and our opinions, then it does just whittle down to a preference. And those that say, oh come on, we all know what is good and bad, sorry, over 100 million people were killed in the last century under atheistic political ideologies. Nazism, communism. The notion that we are just naturally, inherently understanding of morality. Look at the ancient Romans and the ancient Greeks. They would slaughter people for fun, for entertainment in the gladiator stadiums. Babies would be killed for population control. Infanticide was practiced. So the idea of social responsibility, taking care of the poor and the needy, was certainly not something that was seen as valuable or practiced. The idea, war was glorified in the ancient world. How is it that we got all these ideas and values? Study history and you'll see that actually these morals, which so much of the world now takes for granted, whether you're religious or atheist, we don't even appreciate how much of that actually was first articulated in the Bible, in the Torah. I think one of the things that astounded the Jewish people when they were given the Ten Commandments at Mount Sinai was that there weren't some kind of like high, lofty spiritual laws. Actually, they were just very basic, grounded things like do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, honor your father and mother, all these things. Honor your father and mother is a great example, by the way, because many people would say, I don't think, with what my parents did to me, I don't think I should have any respect for them whatsoever. There may be all kind of conversations around that, and I know many cases can be nuanced, but sometimes often children may well take that too far, and they could just argue, this is my view, this is my preference. It's very hard to create moral structures, moral societies that without this sense of absolute standards of what is right and what is wrong. This is not to say that you can't be a moral person and can't make moral decisions. But in terms of creating societies, in terms of holding people to account and giving people that sense of moral direction, I think he makes a very strong case to say that actually you do need a sense of absolute standards for what is right and what is wrong. One of the things that I think probably is bothering Sam is he's thinking, look, we may well you may well argue that secular atheistic movements in history and all kinds of movements have caused all kinds of terrible things. By the way, it's worth noting that of the four great revolutions in the kind of Western world and Enlightenment era, Russian, French, English, and American, two of them led to democracy and greater equality and flourishing societies, and two of them led to a lot of bloodshed and tyranny. That was the French and the Russian. They were based on atheism, right? And then the English and the American were very much informed by biblical ideals. Worth noting. But going back to Sam, I suspect what's bothering him is he's thinking, we see so much tyranny under religion. We see so much immorality in his version of what is considered morality. And I suspect sometimes I also would agree with that. Certainly look at religion, elements of religious Islam and what's happening in the Middle East, and it's appalling. So it's like, what, you want to point to religion? So the key thing is, though, I would respond by saying, as a practicing observant Jew, that they're both touching on something. The key thing, I think he makes a strong case to say, the person he was debating, that we need a sense of absolute morality. But the question is, what is that absolute morality and where are we getting it from? That's ultimately what matters most. Because as a Jew, we do believe that Islam is a kind of has altered the word of God from Mount Sinai, and taken some things to extreme levels, actually. In some ways, we also believe that Christianity kind of diluted things too much. And so I believe that from a Jewish perspective, we absolutely, for moral, functioning, healthy societies, we need a sense of absolute right and wrong so we can all collectively agree and know and hold everyone to the same standard, and have direction and moral direction for our lives and a sense of purpose. And this touches into more than morality. It's also a sense of mental health and a sense of feeling, a sense of purpose in life. But the key thing is where we gain that morality from. I believe that the Torah provides the true word of God, a balanced, healthy approach to morality, well-being, and morally functioning society. So I think that's where I kind of would respond to both of them. They're both touching on different concerns: the concern of religious extremism and the concern of secular vacuousness. So that's why we're going to continue doing what we're doing on JTV, because I believe that Judaism, the Torah, has already brought so much moral guidance to this world, but we have so much more to do. Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.